It's Monday, February 25th, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Thanks for joining us. Fire strikes again, destroying the home of a St. Philip family. Sherry Ann Smith and her teenage son lost all their possessions when a blaze gutted their two-bedroom wood and wall house around 10:28 a.m. It also damaged the neighboring home of Sherry Ann's mother, Carol Smith.
Well, I feel bad, but I send the pressure way home to do something. But I go in that long time, I stand and say burning. So I run, put it something else there and run and come home. But when they are in flames.
In flames.
But my brother, he hands burned.
His hands got burned, okay.
Right, and you see he hurt his back.
Trying to put it out?
Yes.
15 workers of the Productivity Council will be on the breadline at the end of March. Executive Director of the Council, John Pilgrim, made the disclosure today as he addressed reporters on the sidelines of the 16th Annual Week of Excellence, which opened at the Grand Salle of the Central Bank this morning. The agency has been in operation for more than 25 years. The cuts are expected to save government more than $1 million in grants, but Pilgrim says it's a worrying move, which he fears could affect productivity across the country.
If we don't have a growth model and equation that would ensure a high level of continuity in year 2, year 3, year 4, it means that the kind of gains that we are looking for and the kind of objectives that we set can be compromised. So it's all right to, yes, look at the expense equation, look at any fiscal cliff that might have existed in terms of reducing costs. That's good. But at the same time, I believe that a structured, concrete program should be designed and developed and put in place to show the way forward over the next 4 years when it comes to the whole question of growth.
Meanwhile, Labour Minister Colin Jordan assures that government is redoubling its efforts to address the issue of productivity despite the pending shutdown of the Productivity Council. Speaking during a tour of Oran Limited today, he says the issue will now be handled by the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment.
The strength of the focus continues. The issue of productivity is one that is probably even more important now than before, because we are in the early stages of the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program, what we call BERT, the BERT program. And that program speaks to increasing efficiency, increasing productivity, growing our GDP, enhancing life for the people in the country by building businesses, bringing back confidence to the country, and restoring Barbados to the leadership role that Barbados is accustomed to having. So the focus on productivity does not go away.
Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Tony Moore, says the ongoing public sector layoffs under the Barbados Economic Recovery Program has left workers feeling dejected. She told the opening of the 16th Annual Week of Excellence that workers have had to endure the brunt of the adjustments and they are deserving of ease.
People must be the beneficiaries of the changes in the new economy. The new economy must provide a vision of an optimistic future for our people. The social sector, therefore, must not bear disproportionately the cost of adjustments to achieve economic growth. This is a stated underpinning of the BERT program, the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program. But in the rollout up to now, Governor, and on the heels of public sector retrenchment, although we have reached targets, and although I embrace many of the principles of the BERT program as being fundamental to engendering greater discipline and so on, many are left with the feeling that they have had to bear disproportionately the cost of adjustments. What's worse is that the trade union is being blamed for not doing enough to stop it.
An aggressive plan is afoot to tackle public health issues and to modernize the sector. Word of this from Health Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic as he opened the renovated medical unit at the psychiatric hospital this afternoon, along with other senior officials, including the director of the psychiatric hospital, Dr. David Leacock, and acting chief medical officer, Dr. Kenneth George. The renovations, which total some $7,000, include staff facilities, a patient lounge, 2 isolation rooms, and accommodates 27 patients. Minister Bostic said that the completion of the project is the first step towards changing the island's public health services.
This for me is an example as to what is possible going forward, because as you know, we have a fairly aged plant in terms of the health infrastructure, so that every building, every area that we've been able to refurbish or to modernize is a step closer to that quest of transforming the health services in Barbados. And that transformation is not only in terms of the delivery of service, but the infrastructure that is required to deliver that service. Because we have to keep trying to provide the very best, not only for the patients of these facilities, but for the staff, which is very, very important.
In sports, England's third one-day international against the West Indies has been called off without a ball being bowled after rain washed out play. The only action that took place in the middle was a late coin toss. Caribbean fans will be crossing their fingers for clearer skies when the teams return to St. George's on Wednesday.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, CARICOM leaders will open their 2-day intersessional meeting in St. Kitts Nevis tomorrow, topping the issues, ongoing unrest in Venezuela as well as Haiti, and political developments in Guyana. The heads will also address the CARICOM single market and economy, crime and security, and other issues. On the international front, Iran's foreign minister, who played a key role in the 2015 nuclear deal, announced his resignation on Monday. He was the key architect in the landmark deal aimed at reining in Iran's nuclear program, which U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew from last year. He has been Iran's foreign minister since 2013.
Mohammad Javad Zarif, an American-educated, very Western-focused yet patriotic Iranian, had made the nuclear deal his kind of figurehead policy here and was continuing, I think, you got the feeling in Tehran, to persist with convincing his superiors, Hassan Rouhani, the Iranian president, and presumably all the sort of Supreme Council that guide Iran, to stick with it, as he believed it could possibly bring some sort of economic alleviation to Iran's problems. Now, of course, the sanctions are being put back in by the Americans, and the statement we've seen from Mr. Zarif, where he talks about his sort of failures to perform in the role, I'm paraphrasing here, forgive me, I haven't got the quotation in front of me, perhaps suggests that as time has gone by, the hardliners who said this nuclear deal wasn't necessarily such a brilliant idea unless they saw overnight economic improvement from sanctions relief in Iran may have begun to get the upper hand. And we think we've also seen too some of the European allies who thought that the US pulling out of that deal was a bad idea, like the UK, still continue to criticise Iranian moves outside of the nuclear sphere. So a sad moment perhaps from a man who was possibly a force of moderation inside of Tehran.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.